Come on around.
Slip over to next to
That's a good place.
Here, let me get on the far end. Here we go.
I think we're waiting on Mayor Kelly. Oh, there he is. What I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to have everybody talk a few minutes, introduce your name and spell it, and then how you helped with all the flash flooding. I think it'd just be easier that way, and then they can decide on whether or not there's any additional questions needed. Okay, I think we're about ready. First of all, I want to say thank you all for being here today. I know everybody is wanting to get all their news and the effects of all the flash flooding that have occurred within the last 24 hours. It's been, I will say, it has been a long 24 hours, but we do have some updates, and we do want to get you the latest information. My name is Amy Maxwell. I'm the Public Information Officer with Hamilton County Office of Emergency Management. I will be running this press conference, and what we're going to do is we're going to have each individual who represents either a municipality or an agency talk a lot about what they did either last night or what they have done today. And that'll probably help with your stories that you all are going to provide tonight for your viewers. So first I want to introduce our mayor, Mayor Wamp, to give a few, some information about last night and today. Mayor?
Thanks, Amy, and thanks to all of you. I've seen most of you already earlier in the day. Let me start by giving some context to the declaration of a local state of emergency, because I think it's important, talking to Dr. Robertson earlier, we don't want that to be alarming to the public. Obviously, we're all hopeful that later in the afternoon, early evening, the rain showers aren't heavy enough to cause more problems. So we want everybody to be on guard. But at this point, I would think of that declaration of a state of emergency as more an administrative matter than something that should cause alarm to the general public. What it provides for is both flexibility in terms of emergency response, purchasing rules. It makes sure that there are no barriers to responding to the flooding issues. And it also allows Hamilton County Office of Emergency Management to maximize reimbursement opportunities, same with other agencies responding. And so, again, I think it's important, even as the school system contemplates what they're doing tomorrow, that declaration, which will probably technically last 7 days, does not mean, there should be no assumptions about what it means or whether there's a risk to the public. Certainly standing in front of leaders of Chattanooga Fire and Chattanooga Police, Sheriff, and you had a multi-agency response really quickly last night. We could see, in no time, from Signal Mountain to Dallas Bay, you had really all hands on deck, and even communicated with Dallas Bay's chief today, just expressing gratitude that even down into densely populated municipalities, you had volunteers serving really well. A lot of scary moments last night playing out on national television in our community. And I'd say after spending a couple hours in East Ridge this morning, as tough as it is and as saddening as it is that there's a loss of life, the damage to property and to infrastructure is not as bad as I thought it would have been based on the way things looked last night. But it was an incredible example of a multi-agency response. We get to see this often. Last night the community saw in action both paid professionals and volunteers coming together to work alongside one another, and then there's a lot of work that follows up today. That we were out with TEMA and the Hamilton County Office of Emergency Management doing an assessment of damage, and there'll be more to come on that subject. But grateful for all the folks behind me, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to share their perspective. But being on the ground in East Ridge today, I was in part grateful that it wasn't worse than it was. You certainly got the feeling that another inch or two, 7 inches over 3 hours is historic, but another inch or two and this would have been a whole lot worse than it was. So with that, Amy, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mayor. And now I want to introduce Mayor Kelly to give us a little update for the city of Chattanooga.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Let me start by just saying thank you to our first responders, to our police department, our fire department, our public works. Again, police and fire were out there, in some cases, public works, putting their lives at risk. And we can't thank them enough for their heroic work. Just some numbers. We had 100 firefighters respond to more than 50 emergencies and calls for assistance. I think Swiftwater Rescue saved 35 individuals from life-threatening situations. Our police department, CPD, received 427 calls for service, including 114 reports of flooding. Chief Chambers will tell you more about that, I'm sure. Public Works was out, until 1 a.m. and back at 7 this morning, cleaning basins and making sure that the water could drain out. Again, I should mention that the community centers are open as shelters as well. We opened the Chris Ramsey Community Center as a shelter in Brainerd last night. It will remain open tonight. We've put the Hickson Community Center and the South Chattanooga Community Centers on standby to serve as shelters tonight should more rainfall occur, although I think it's looking better now. And so, look, we're just focused on keeping people safe. You'll be reminded many times today, but if you see deep water, please do not attempt to drive through it. This was a deadly event. Sadly, I want to express my condolences to the friends and family of the young family who died tragically in East Ridge. We've also been informed a body was discovered downstream of East Brainerd Road, which matches the description of a man who, unfortunately, unwisely maneuvered around fire department barricades and was swept away by a stream. We've not been able to identify his body yet, but obviously a tragic event. So again, we want to make sure that folks stay safe throughout the coming days if there's any additional rainfall. We'll say that was the second highest rainfall total in the city's history, best we can tell. I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions about response, and we can address those at the proper time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kelly. And then the mayor from East Ridge, if you would please just give us a little update for your city, please.
Brian Williams, Mayor of East Ridge. Again, like Mayor Kelly and Mayor Wamp, we want to thank our first responders. We had several calls from residents that couldn't get out. We had some Swiftwater rescues that occurred at some of the residents. We had, with the amount of rainfall that was mentioned, the damage, there is damage, but it could have been worse. We want to thank our first responders. It's been a great coming together of the municipalities. We've had people that was actually sheltered that we were to get out of homes over to the Brainerd complex. Sheriff Garrett reached out last night. We had multiple agencies reaching out to help support us. We done an assessment with Mayor Wamp this morning. We're collecting information. We're putting out a press release from East Ridge requesting all residents that's actually been impacted by intrusion of water into their home to get those documented so we can actually compile that list, see if we can get some TEMA and maybe some FEMA assistance to help support our citizens and our residents. So it's been amazing seeing all the collaboration from all the departments, and East Ridge is thankful for that, and anything we can do and assist in other municipalities in the county, we're willing to do so. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Now I'd like to introduce my boss, Director Adams, to give us a little update on where we are with our damage assessment. Sorry.
My name is Chris Adams. I'm the Director of Emergency Management for Hamilton County. Our role last night was activate our Emergency Operations Center, and we support all of these first responders. Without them, we really don't have anything to do. So we try to coordinate resources and manage them and get them everything they need to do their job. It starts with 911, it ends with 911. So they'll be giving you a little bit of report a minute of what they do. And not only do we have an event like this that occurs and everybody thinks about that event, well, the rest of the county and the city still have their emergencies going on. They were still taken care of as well, plus this emergency we had in these areas. So hats off to all the first responders. We have some of the best, I think, in the country. Area command was at its finest last night because it's such a widespread area. There's no boundaries. When the EOC opens, egos are checked at the door, boundaries are checked at the door. It's Hamilton County as a whole, and we're there to help everybody. That's what all these people do. It's not Chattanooga, it's not East Ridge, it's Hamilton County, and we're all there to make a difference for everybody. And last night was a classic example. We had 60 vehicles on the interstate at one time. People think, how can you drive in water that deep? Well, last night was unique because they drove in the water thinking it was fine, but as they were driving slowly through it, it rose. It rose maybe 2 feet by the time they went 100 yards. So everybody may be criticizing what they did. You know, we all know to turn around, not drown, but when you look at it and it's 2 inches deep and the next thing you know it's 4 feet deep, that's something you've never seen before. So our first responders were on the radio. We listened, we heard people trapped, saying the water was up over their windows. Chattanooga Fire was unbelievable, getting them out of the windows, and Chattanooga Police and the sheriff's deputies. Pretty incredible to listen to it unfold on the radio. I'm very proud to be a part of this team, and we'll continue to try to do that to support Hamilton County. But again, it's a chain of events and a cycle that starts with 911, ends with 911, and what happens in between with these men and women are pretty incredible. So basically, we're still doing damage assessments, as Mayor Wamp alluded to. It's not as bad as we thought, but we're looking to try to reclaim as much as we can and help people any way we can financially. So if we can get FEMA assistance, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to make sure we get out there, do those damage reports, and if any money's due to Hampton County, East Ridge, and Chattanooga, we're going to get it. And our main goal is to help people, and that's what we're here for. And I think that's what you saw last night. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Adams. I think we'll go ahead and have Chief Chambers from the Chattanooga Fire Department and the Hamilton County Sheriff. What did I say?
Fire.
Oh, excuse me, Police Department. It's been a long day. I'm sorry. And Sheriff Garrett, give a little idea of what challenges we faced last night with all the problems with the interstate and how they were shut down, and trying to get all the motor vehicles out of the way, and all the calls that you had to assist as well when it came to your natural 911 calls too.
Sure. John Chambers, Chief of Police for the Chattanooga Police Department. Last night, as what we normally get with any type of weather event, generally speaking, we have a decent warning, right? We have a general idea about what's to come, and I believe last night, it's safe to say, caught us by surprise. We did not expect, especially the gravity of what occurred, to hit us and then in such a short period of time. So we didn't have resources on standby. We didn't have a whole lot of assets standing by waiting on the thing to happen. So what we did, though, was we had men and women who are dedicated to protecting their community. From the fire department, police department, the sheriff's office, public works, that were literally out there risking their own safety for the sake of their community. They do that every day, but nights like last night is different. That's something where they're doing it hundreds of times in a very short period of time. Over 400 calls for service, and a lot of those we couldn't handle. The sheriff's office stepped in on the east side of the city to help out with that, and we are very grateful. Just like Director Adams said, it doesn't become a city versus county versus East Ridge. We're our community, and we are all here to work together, especially in situations like that. So I'm very proud of our response and the men and women that showed up. We did call in resources that were not working, right? We had the men and women that were already on duty out there working become overwhelmed very quickly. We called in additional resources to help out with that, and then also, of course, reached out to our partner agencies to address those concerns. Unfortunately, we did have loss of life within the city of Chattanooga. That is very early on at this point in time. We know that it is a black male, and that is really all that we know as far as the additional circumstances around that. It is likely that he lost his life in the flood, but those things will have to be determined with the medical examiner at a later date just to confirm that. As more information evolves in that investigation, we'll be happy to share that. But I do want to thank my colleagues and the work that their departments did throughout the night. It was a tremendous effort by all, and we're ready for tonight. In the event something else kicks off tonight, rest assured that every single one of us will be out there protecting our community just like we always do. Thank you.
Sheriff Austin Garrett, I'll echo what Chief Chambers said. You know, what you see when something like this happens is professionalism. It's seamless. And we get to see a side that you don't. We're in the operations center watching in depth what's happening. And when this unveils, we don't have lanes. Typically we do. Law enforcement has a lane, fire has their job to do. Last night what you saw was Swiftwater rescue teams, mixed fire, law enforcement, EMS, saving lives. Saving lives. That's our job, life preservation. Very proud of the job that's done in this county every day, regardless of the city limits or the county limits. The men and women in this county get the job done every day, and I'm honored to serve alongside each and every one of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now I want to bring up the Chattanooga Fire Department's chief, Terry Knowles, to talk a little bit about first responders last night, bringing on Swiftwater Rescue, additional tri-state mutual aid agencies to come in and support.
Absolutely, yes. My name's Terry Knowles, the Fire Chief, Chattanooga Fire Department, and about 2 years ago we started a Swiftwater team program, and the Chattanooga Fire Department Swiftwater team was just accredited by the state this past June. So this is actually our third response for Swiftwater events in this area. And so not just with our agency responding in with the Swiftwater teams, but the help from all the agencies around us. We had multiple Swiftwater teams that were called in through Tri-State Mutual Aid, and just the cooperation and the just working together, it's seamless. I mean, we knew what they were going to do, they knew what we were capable of, and we went to work. We had over 50 calls just within the city itself, I think over 100 throughout the county of water related emergencies. And we had at least 35 victims that were either rescued out of cars or houses that we know of. And so, you know, just like everybody's talked about, it's the teamwork that within this county. Being part of other natural disasters that we've had over the years, no matter what it is, every one of these agencies come together, and like they said, we work as one. All our officers, all our firefighters, all our EMS, all our city and county departments all work together, and that just shows how much we care about our community and our neighborhoods and the community that we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Now I'd like to bring up Barbara Lovelace. She will talk to you about Hamilton County's 911 system and the challenges that they had as of last night. Barbara?
Hi, everybody. I'm Barbara Lovelace. I'm Director of Operations for Hamilton County 911. I think I can echo everybody's sentiment about this kind of we weren't kind of prepared for it. We usually have advance notice when we're going to have a major weather event, and that wasn't the case this time. So we weren't staffed up. We started seeing that there was a shift in the weather in the 5 o'clock hour, and it started to get exponentially worse. Our initial word was that they were setting up a command post, and so we started our incident dispatch unit to set up with the responders at the Brainerd Rec Center, and that way they could help with evacuation and take some of that responsibility off of the main center. And simultaneously, we were upstaffing our comm center, so we had every seat in the comm center completely filled, and we were still getting a lot of telephone calls. We were getting so many phone calls that we had to prioritize only 911, and we still had 911 calls holding in every minute of every hour for about 3 hours straight. Throughout that event, we had about 948 calls received between 6 p.m. and midnight. We created 885 calls, incidents throughout the city and the county for every municipality, excluding Lookout Mountain and Saudi Daisy. We identified 137 flooding events, 10 emergency rescues on the with water, and 110 hazardous events. Suffice it to say that I had an overwhelmed, stressed telecommunications staff, and they did phenomenal. They skipped lunch. They came in, they volunteered to come in today, knowing that the weather event could indeed escalate into today as well. And I feel like that they did a good job by all of the responders that are in the room. And so I thank everybody who was on the other side of the radio, and I definitely thank my staff.
We really appreciated your staff helping us too, because they were an asset to us. And then last but not least, we need to bring up our Director of Education for Hamilton County to give us an update on why we closed schools yesterday and where we're moving forward for tomorrow.
Justin Robertson, Superintendent, Hamilton County Schools. Want to first say thank you to everyone up here, and especially Chris and his team. Every time we call emergency management, you guys respond and give us really good information. So I want to say thank you for that. Another group that hasn't been mentioned is our bus drivers. We run about 23 miles a day in buses, and last night they were taking kids home in some difficult circumstances, and we got every one of our kids home safely. Thanks to our drivers and the professionalism of our transportation staff. Obviously, what went into the decision today is what everyone has said, is how quickly this situation escalated. Initially, we went to a 2-hour delay, and then within a couple of hours realized that a 2-hour delay may not be enough. I'll agree with what Mayor Wamp said at the beginning, as our team's been out throughout the day assessing our buildings. The damage that we expected to see has not been as severe as what we thought, and so our buildings will be ready to go tomorrow. We're just going to continue to monitor the weather as it comes through tonight, and we'll make a decision later this evening.
Thank you very much. And I guess right now we'll open it up for a few questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I think, Chris, you mentioned that there have been like 60 cars that have been stranded on the interstate. Can you talk more about just like the process of getting those motorists rescued?
We in the EOC are blessed with TDOT cameras, smart view cameras, and we get a real time. It's not a delay, so we could watch everything from the EOC just like we're sitting there. So we can relay that information. The law enforcement is right there with us, so we're getting all the real time information. They're getting it right out to their people with boots on the ground and getting those people out. We just left the cars where they were. That don't matter right then. It's about the people. That's all that mattered. And they got them out. Some of them walked down the retainer walls. Some CPD officers, I think it was CPD, actually were carrying them out on their backs. So there was a lot that couldn't walk through that water. So they carried them on their back until they got them to the divider and got them up on it to get them out of the water. So it's pretty incredible to watch how they did. And the ones that were going under, I think CFD, Chattanooga Fire, got them out. They were actually on the phone with dispatcher saying, water's running in, we're going under now, and we're listening. That's pretty stressful when you're hearing people say that. But they got them.
Yeah. Did you guys get any assistance from like the state, TDOT, PHP?
We were on the phone with the director of TEMA last night multiple times. Mayor as well confirmed, and all the mayors were very involved with TEMA, because we want to make sure that we do everything that we can to have resources ready. If we needed more from the state level, they were ready to send them. They also help us with the paperwork to make sure we do everything correctly for FEMA, because FEMA is pretty particular with how you file your documents after a state of emergency. So we make sure we do everything exactly right from starting with a state of emergency, declaring that. You want to make sure you get everything right. And we had their district coordinator in the EOC last night from TEMA for the Southeast region. So we have them, we're connected at the hip with them.
Also, like an infrastructure question, I think this is like more for the mayors. I know there's like a lot of concern about just like the adequacy of stormwater infrastructure at this stage, given just like the flood. Do you have any comments on just kind of like plans for the future, just state of like just whether or not the infrastructure was adequate to handle the level of flood that we saw?
I'll say that from the state's perspective, we've done a lot of work. We made a lot of investments in stormwater infrastructure. Considering that was the second highest, rainfall total, I would say the stormwater system held up remarkably well. I think there's a lot of concern about whether the new construction on the interstate is sufficient, and we're talking to the state about that now.
Mayor?
Yeah, I think to this point, it requires a little more study to know what the implications of what's going on with the interstate are. First question that I asked when I arrived in East Ridge this morning was to their fire chief about weather, because if you've been around East Ridge a while. It's not the first flood you've seen. The opinion of some of the professionals in East Ridge was that this was not an infrastructure issue. It was an extraordinary amount of rain in a really small window of time. Flash flooding is not the same thing as flooding, but it's all worth study and scrutiny in the days ahead.
Does this go ahead, sorry.
So in East Ridge, we had actually completed one phase of a multi-phase stormwater runoff infrastructure upgrade. So it had went from the middle of town all the way up to Kingwood Pharmacy. It used to be Kingwood Pharmacy. Now I think it's a dentist, Dr. Crothers. And it ended there. And then we've got a next phase that's going up. So you've seen all the new sidewalks. You may have heard about people talking. Well, it was more than just sidewalks. We were doing stormwater infrastructure upgrades. And where we saw most of the damage was right where it ended in their next phase that we're going to take all the way to the tunnel that on Ringo Road going into the city of Chattanooga. So we are in the process of doing stormwater upgrades in the city of East Ridge. We just hadn't gotten to that point where we saw the most destruction in the road there, right around the Osborne Plaza Center.
Anybody else? Yes?
Just politely asking, next time we answer questions, can we go to the podium so that the mic hears?
Okay, yes.
Mayor Kelly mentioned the most recent victim and that maybe that victim crossed a barricade, and as I understand it, maybe the fire department witnessed that.
Yes.
I may be piecing things together incorrectly, but if anyone could offer insight.
Yes, no, we had two engine companies out that had the roadblock and had tape up trying to keep people from crossing over. And the crews that were on scene witnessed the party run past their fire engine and then disappear into the water. And then they immediately called. We had Swiftwater teams in the area. We dispatched them right over there. They started a search and could not locate the person until today.
Next, anybody?
Question for you, Amy.
Oh.
Were you guys able to use AI tools to help monitor monitor flood levels in Texas flooding?
Use AI for?
AI tools to help monitor the flood levels.
Oh, well, we have actually through the Tennessee river water gauges that we actually keep on 24 hours a day in our EOC for those reasons. But this is one of those events where the river wasn't so much our concern. It was the fact that it was a localized flash flooding that was causing significant damage. And right then, our top priority was saving lives. Property comes second, but top priority is saving lives. Yes?
It sounds like most of you mentioned that this caught everyone by surprise. Will this incident create an opportunity to have conversations in your agency to reassess those protocols and maybe be more prepared in the future?
Bruce?
We work on that every day. Nature is not a perfect thing to try to battle. It's going to always win. We're never going to beat nature. But we try to be as best prepared as we can. Flash flooding is the most difficult one to prepare for, especially in this incident, because they're not saying this might not have been some engineers are saying this could be a 1,000-year flood, not a 500-year, but 1,000 years. So something, as Mayor Kelly touched on, that you just don't see. 6.5 to 7 inches of rain in 2 to 3 hours is just incredible. So isolated. I live north of the river in Saudi Daisy. I was outside with not even a sprinkle when this started. So Hamilton County, as large as we are, and flash flooding that happened like this, we're going to do everything we can, but I don't know the answer to that. We're going to keep trying. We've got all kind of AI tools that we're using right now to graph and plan for saturated ground, dry ground, 10 inches of rain, 20 inches of rain, because it seems like our climate, we're getting more and more of these all over the country. You say 1,000-year flood, but we're saying that a lot, when you look at our nation as a whole. So we're trying to find new ways, use all new technology to figure out any way we can get better at it. But as far as could we do anything different tomorrow? Well, we're here today. We can't stop it. It's going to happen, and then we're going to fix it after it happens. So that's our goal.
I know some of the folks who spoke this morning in East Ridge said they weren't even really in a floodplain and were affected last night by this flooding. Just how much more nerve-wracking does that make it from an emergency planning standpoint, knowing that an event like this can just throw a lot of crews planning out the window?
Well, those are wrench in your planning, but we've always said, I was at a national conference and a guy said a statement that really stuck with me. How many people in here have flood insurance? And some raised their hand. He said, well, why do you not have insurance? I said, well, I live on a mountain. And he said, it doesn't rain on the mountain. Anywhere it rains, you need to be prepared for a flash flood. So it's difficult to plan like that for in this event. Who would think that you could run a boat down 24 and it not be on a trailer? You know, we would never have that in our wildest dreams. We didn't have it. Even in our mapping, we haven't come across that one yet. So very unique, and I just hope we never see it again.
I might add just very quickly to the gentleman's earlier question. We are working with tech partners to use AI to look at how if we can better predict stormwater runoff and predict these things ahead of time. That's going to take some years to bear fruit, but we are in the process of doing an after-action report too. I do think to build on the prior statement, look, the definition of a 10-year or a 50-year flood event is probably going to change or should change. I mean, that's based on an anticipated level of rainfall, and this kind of goes all the way back to municipal engineering. I mean, they're designing to a standard that we may need to re-examine. Thank you.
Let's take two more. Go ahead.
There's a lot of craziness happening. So, and with confirmation of the deceased man that was found earlier, is there anyone else that might be considered missing that's being searched for? Is there anybody else that could possibly be in harm's way?
Do you have any other reports?
Not that has been reported or that we've been made aware of.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I have a question. Does this raise any questions for you guys about whether or not the project that you're moving forward is like appropriately rated for stormwater for flood mitigation?
I would just say it's too early to say. But I mean, obviously, we need to answer that question. I mean, we've spent a lot of time and energy and money doing that. The state has, and it's all critical to the economic lifeblood of this community. So we're going to be working with the state to take a look at that.
I mean, it's a reasonable question, right? I mean, it's a question a lot of people are no doubt asking themselves.
We got one more?
Light interstate, and have water on it.
Given what you were saying about the 1,000-year flood, how it's becoming more common to say that, and you guys were talking about the Swiftwater rescue teams, is there a plan in the future for prepping, possibly hiring more in that particular area to combat something like this?
Yeah.
This is exactly why the sheriff's office created a Swiftwater team, is to supplement the other agencies. So we're looking at everything that we can do. Like I said earlier, you typically think of people having a lane they operate in. So we're thinking outside of that now in a strike team mode to where we operate together, either, full law enforcement or rescue capacity, and giving our deputies or officers the training to do these things. That way, if they're there, they can save lives. So that's why we're investing in that advanced training. I know the chief's department is, and the other municipalities are, because, like I said, when something like this happens, you depend on each other. And whether we're called to Saudi Daisy, whether we're called to Appleton, we're called to East Ridge, we're coming and bringing everything we've got with us, and we're coming to save lives. So that is exactly why the sheriff's office, and I think I can speak for the other agencies, are expanding the training and building these teams out. And we're doing this training together. As the chief said, your third rescue?
Yes.
So ours was accredited about 3 weeks ago. The day that they certified, they saved lives in another county that they were in finishing their training. This was our second deployment. So it shows how important and how valuable it is. So.
Thank you, Sheriff. And that's it. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody coming today. It's possible, depending on the weather, we will be sending out additional information possibly tonight to give you any updates. If there's anything that's coming from, whether it's coming from 911 or Chattanooga Police, Chattanooga Fire, or our Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, they will let us know, and we will provide that information to you all later. Thank you very much for coming.